So really quickly, if you're in the A or B category, I'm not going to be talking to you, so you can ignore what I'm about to say. But if you're in the C through E category on this last test, let me just mention, I know a couple of things. I know that this online environment is very hard. So what I would recommend, and it's probably to the people that aren't here, is please make sure you're doing your homework. Okay, I know I have the online quizzes now, and technically you don't need to come to class anymore. But the people who don't come to class and watch the video, well, I think there are some people who don't watch the video, but at any rate, please come to class. Please be engaged in class. Please ask questions. I think that's going to really help you. I know that class attendance has gone down. In one class, in my other class, not this one, about half the people didn't even bother taking the test. That's going to pull the average down big time. And so anyway, my recommendation is try to keep this as normal as possible. I know for a fact that a few people I know one person lost his job. I know another person works at a hospital and put in a long day on the day of the test. While I appreciate and understand that, sometimes you can't come to class, that really puts you in a tough spot as far as doing well. I know this is a much tougher environment to learn. And so I feel for you if you've lost your job and you can't attend class anymore, but it does make it a lot harder. And this is hard material, especially to be learning online. So please continue to do your homework and continue to come to class so that we can hopefully get exam 5. I don't think we'll have an exam 6. So we'll have exam 5 in about 3 weeks. And then I do plan on spending about a week on preparing for the final exam. So hopefully you guys can do that. So any comments or questions about the test before we move on to the next chapter? Okay. All right, so I do want to talk, I don't think I made any changes. We do want to talk about the hyperbolas today. Actually, let me open that back up. Okay, so the interesting thing here, let's see if I can find the one I'm looking for. Doggone, I can't find the one I'm looking for. Let me look here. I think I might have put it in here. Okay, so making a hyperbola. Okay, so the idea with a hyperbola is you're going to have two curves that look something like these here. Your foci are on the outside rather than on the inside as it was in the ellipse. And this isn't the best one. Let me see if I can pull up a better one. Hopefully. Yeah, you can also think of it, this is a hyperboloid of revolution. Basically, you can take a straight line and rotate it about like this, and that form, this is the same form that they use to make, you know, nuclear plant cooling towers. So those are actually thinner in the middle than they are on the top and bottom. I don't know why, but that's definitely what the cooling towers are made out of. I guess that helps with cooling somehow. I think I have one more little thing here that's kind of cool. Hopefully this is the right one. Yes, this is really cool because you can see you've got a bar here, and you can see we've got the hyperbola shape. So you can actually take a straight line and rotate it around, and it fits right through that hyperbola shape. So that's kind of cool looking. So definitely you would call that a hyperboloid of revolution. So the basic format that a hyperbola is, it looks a lot like an ellipse. Basically, if I have x squared over a squared, and whoops, here, let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see. I'll underline that so it looks like a fraction, and then you're going to have a minus, oops, and then a y squared over a b squared, and I'm going to underline that. That equals 1. Okay, so that's your basic form. Now, or I guess the other form is, I'll put an or here, or you could have the y squared first. In fact, I'm going to copy this. Y squared over a squared minus x squared over b squared equals 1. So these are the basic form of your hyperbola. Okay, now on the ellipse, we cared about which one was the big number and which one was the small number. On the hyperbola, we don't care. So whichever letter is first is the major axis. Okay, so in this case, because I've got the x squared first, the x squared is my major axis. In this case, since the y squared is first, the y is the major axis. Okay, so let's talk about your vertices. I can't spell today. Vertices. Okay, in this case, it's going to be plus or minus a comma 0. In this case over here, it's going to be 0 plus or minus a. Okay. We're going to have asymptotes on here, and I'll show you how to draw these in a minute. Asymptotes. Okay. Your asymptotes on the left are going to be y equals plus or minus b divided by a times x. And on this one over here, instead of b over a, it's going to be a divided by b. Okay. Your foci are going to be at plus or minus c comma 0, or in this case over here on the right, it's going to be 0 plus or minus c. And then on the graph, let's talk about how you would graph these. Let's see. So this one's going to be, I wonder if I can copy and paste this. We're going to find out right now. Oh, that worked. I didn't think it would. Okay, so if I have x squared over a squared minus y squared over b squared, I'm going to have, let me draw my axes here, okay? Why did that draw a white line? That's weird. Okay, so since I've got x squared over a squared, so actually I should mention this also. It's actually, for some reason, they don't call it the major axis, they call it the transverse axis. But it's easier for people to remember the major axis, okay? So the transverse axis in this case is going to be in the x direction. So we are going to go out a units on either side. And in the y direction, we're going to go b units. Okay, so this is a, and this is b. Now the easiest thing when you're drawing this is, and this is, I'm going to use a pencil here, is to draw a box. Now the box isn't really part of the thing, but it's really helpful for helping you to draw the hyperbola. And so then through the corners of the box, you're going to draw your asymptotes. So this is your asymptote here, and this is your asymptote here. And then you're going to take and draw, you're just going to get really close to these lines. And this is your hyperbola. It's on the x-axis because x is first. Okay, the same thing with the other one over here. In this case, the y is going to be first, so y is going to be your transverse axis. I wonder if I can paste that without. Okay, so that's going to go over here. I should have copied everything. But once again, you've got your axes here. In this case, you're going to go up a units. Up and down a units. And then you're going to go left and right b units. Oh, I didn't draw that very well. Draw that a little bit more symmetrical. Now you can draw your box again. Or I should put A here. So your A is in this direction. Your B is in this direction. Now you can draw your box. Now you can draw your asymptotes through the corners and through the origin. And because you've got your y squared first, your hyperbola is going to be like this. Okay, just like that. So let's go ahead and let's do our first one here. Okay, so what I've got here is I'm going to have 9x squared minus 16y squared equals 144. And I want you to find the vertices. Oh, you know what? There was one thing I forgot to mention, but I'll show that to you in just a second. Vertices, foci, asymptotes, and sketch the graph. Okay. Now, in order to find the foci, I told you what they were back here, but it didn't tell you how to find c. So the nice thing about this is basically a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay? And that works in both cases. So the interesting thing here is, you'll remember, maybe I'm going to put the ellipse up here because we're going to talk about this on the next test as well. Remember, the ellipse, basically, if everything was the same here, except for your minus was a plus, right? And then this equaled 1. Okay. Now you'll remember with the ellipse, it was c squared equals the big number squared minus the small number squared. That was a or b, it didn't really matter. It was the big number minus the small number. So one way to remember this is if you have a minus in your original equation, then this is a plus. And if you have, oh, sorry, that's supposed to be a plus. The ellipse has a plus there, then you're going to get a minus down here. Okay, so just remember when you're talking about c is going to be the opposite sign of whatever your original equation is. So minus is a plus, plus is a minus. Okay, so just so you don't confuse those. Now let's go back to here. Find the vertices, foci, asymptotes, and sketch the graph. So who can I pick on? Let's pick on Noki. Can you help me do this one? Noki, can you hear us? We can't hear you if you're talking. Okay, how about Joshua? Can you hear us, Joshua?
I'm here.
Oh, you are here. Okay, there you go, Noki.
Had to run downstairs.
Okay. Oh, no problem. So do you know how to solve this one here?
9x squared minus 16y squared.
Yeah,
We're finding.
It is a hyperbola.
Okay. So would we just do the a9 squared plus 16 squared equals 144 squared for the foci?
Well, so before you do that, remember in both of these cases, it always equals 1.
Okay.
So we need to get it to equal 1 before we do anything.
Oh, I don't remember how to do that.
Okay, so in order to get it to equal 1, we're going to divide this side by
144.
144, and so that means we have to divide these also by 144. Okay?
Okay.
So we're going to divide everything by 144, 144, and 144. Okay? Now, the nice thing about this is we're going to try to be pretty nice to you guys. 9 goes into 144. Do you guys know how many times?
16.
See how nice that was? Okay. So, and then we're going to get minus 16 goes into 144 how many times?
9.
9 times. And now it's in the right format. So before we move on, let's just mark out a few things. Do we know what A equals or B equals?
Do you just assign it yourself? Like A can be 16, B 9.
So
and
A is
C.
always going to be in the first position. In both cases, it's always the first position. So A is going to be what?
16.
No, it's going to be 4.
4. Oh, shoot.
4 squared. Okay.
Right.
B is going to be
3.
3. And now we need to figure out C.
1.
Now remember the A squared. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So in this case, A squared is 16 plus 9 equals C squared. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we got lucky. 16 plus 9 is
25.
25 equals C squared. So therefore C is going to equal
5.
5. Okay. Now, you're not going to get nice whole numbers like this all the time, but that's really nice. Okay. So as we draw our graph here, and I didn't put the C on these graphs. Maybe I should put that really quickly. As we go back to here, your C, I'm going to put a little dot here for your, oh no, I guess I'll put a line. So this is going to be where your C is in this case. In this case, your C is going to be up here. And of course, you got a negative C down here below as well. Okay, so those are your foci. Okay, so let's go ahead. You know me, I like to sketch the graph. So let's go ahead and sketch the graph, and then Noki, tell me how I should draw it after I draw my axes here. Or maybe I should pick on somebody else. Let's pick on somebody else. How about, yeah, you like, I want to get off the hot seat. How about Fidencio? You can help me with this, right?
I'll try.
Okay.
I just got here, so I don't know what's going on.
Oh, you just got here. Oh, that's
Yeah.
a bummer. Okay. How about who was here? Joshua, we know we were going to go to you earlier. Should we try you now? Here, I'm going to draw some tick marks here. Are you here, Joshua? I wonder if I can copy these. I'm going to try to copy them and see if that works.
Hey, Professor, I've got a question.
Okay.
Will you always be drawing that little X through the origin, or will it be drawn through different parts of the graph?
Really good question. And the answer is today, everything is always going to be through the center. Tomorrow, we're going to mix up hyperbolas, parabolas, and ellipses, and it won't be through the center. So today is your lucky day. Tomorrow won't be as lucky. Okay. So I'm going to try to draw this one more time. All right, well, if Joshua's not going to answer, here, let me just throw it out. Does anybody want to answer?
I can do it.
Is that Sam?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're going to go for up and down?
We're going up 4. Okay, so let's draw a little circle here. That's going to be for our vertices, right?
Yeah, for the vertices of A. And
Okay.
I
you're going.
think it's supposed to be left and right 4 because that's A and X is first. So that should be the
Ah.
major axis.
Very good. How do I undo that? Control Z. Yeah, we're going left and right 4.
Okay.
Okay, because your transverse axis or your major axis is the X. So we're going to go up and down how many?
Up and down 3.
3. Okay. All right, and so then this is where we're going to draw our box. Okay, so we'll draw the box. Oops, I put that one down one too many. It should be through 3. Okay. And then I'm going to draw my asymptotes through the diagonals. Okay, and then I've got my foci. Is it going to be in the X direction or the Y direction? Excuse me, well, not the foci. My hyperbola is in the X direction or the Y direction?
X.
X, okay. So I'll draw my hyperbolas right here. When my hyperbolas draw easier with my finger, okay? And then my foci is going to be right here. At these 2 spots here, okay? So let's list these out here. Your vertices are at where and where?
Mm. It's going to be
0 plus and minus 4.
No, it's actually going to be plus or minus 4, comma 0.
Oh,
The X is first. Okay? Your foci are always on your major axes. Where are your foci?
minus comma 0
That one more time.
plus minus 5.
Plus or minus 5, 0. Very good. And then the equation of your asymptote is going to be y equals what?
Is it 0?
No, it's 4 over 3.
It's 4 over 3. So I'm going to write it this way. 4, it's plus or minus 4x divided by 3.
Isn't it plus or minus 3 over 4?
It is. Really? Okay, 3 over 4. Very good. Who said that?
It was Camilla.
Camilla, thank you for keeping us on track here. Remember, it's y, it's the b over the a, okay? So if your x is first, it's b over a, and if your y is first, it's a over b. Okay, very good. Okay, so let's do another one. Wow, class time is flying. How about here, I'm going to save this. Hyperbola. Okay, we're going to do a new sheet here. Okay, what if I say, I want you to find the equation of a hyperbola with vertices at plus or minus 3, plus or minus 3, 0, and foci at plus or minus 4, 0. Well, that looks terrible. And graph. Okay. Now you know me, what would I do first? I would graph it, of course. So let's talk, so plus or minus 3, 0. So it's going to be 3 on the x-axis, right? 1, 2, 3. Okay. And my foci is going to be at 4. Okay. So I'm going to draw a little circle here. So my major axis or transverse axis, come on, draw. So the transverse axis is the x-axis. Okay. And we're also going to have our foci. There's going to be one more unit to the right. So that extra line is where the foci are. Okay. Now we don't know how high up and down to go. So how do we figure that out?
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Perfect. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And in this case, do we know A, B, and C?
We know A and C.
We know A and C. A in this case is
3.
3, and C is
C is 4.
4. Come on, 4. All right, and so therefore, A squared is going to be 9. 9 plus B squared equals 16, right? Therefore, B squared is going to equal 7. So B is going to equal the square root of 7. Okay? So now, as we have to think about how we're drawing this. So 2 squared is 4, and 3 squared is 9, so it's in between 2 and 3. So if I draw my little tick marks here, 1, 2, it's in between 2 and 3, okay? 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to draw my box right here in between 2 and 3. I'm going to draw my asymptotes to the corner of the box. Oh, that was a terrible corner. Control Z, Control Z. Right there, and right there, and here, and here, and here, here, and here. I'll finish drawing my hyperbola right here. Okay. And now, so I've sketched the graph, and so the basic form is going to be, is it X or Y first? And how do you know?
It's X because the foci.
Because the foci and the vertices. So X squared minus Y squared equals 1. We'll underline both of those so they look like a fraction. And what goes under the X squared?
9.
9. And on the y squared,
7.
7. Perfect. And so there's your answer right there. X squared over 9 plus y squared over 7 equals 1. Gosh, I kind of want to do one more. But we're kind of out of time. Let me here. We won't finish this one, but let's get it started because I know this one's going to be a little harder, and hopefully this will save you a question for tomorrow. Find the equation of n foci, foci of hyperbola with vertices at 0 plus or minus 2 and asymptotes at y equals plus or minus 2x. Okay? So in this case, let's start here. We're going to have x, no, or it's going to be a y squared minus an x squared, right? Because the vertices is in the y direction this time, equals 1. I will underline that, and I will underline this. Okay. Now this has to be over an a squared and a b squared. Okay. So the idea here is a squared, the a squared, we know what that is, right? That's going to be 2. And so that's going to be 4 here. 2 squared is 4. Now, we don't know the b, but we know, based on our asymptotes, y equals plus or minus a over b. Okay? Or a, maybe I'll write it as ax over b. That might be easier to understand. Ax over b. Okay? Well, we know our a is 2, and so what? Therefore, based on the original equation, what does b have to be? B is going to have to be 1 in this case. Does that make sense? Do you guys see that? Because if A is 2, B has to be 1. So that actually, gosh, we got that one done a lot quicker than I expected. So therefore, this B squared has to be, oh, I didn't mean to erase the underline, but anyway, this has to be a 1. So we found that one really fast. Didn't sketch the graph, though. I'll let you guys do that. All right. Well, I don't want to keep you guys any longer, but I'll have the quiz up later today. So quiz on 7.3. And then tomorrow, we're going to start shifting everything around. And it won't necessarily be in the center. But today, you're lucky that everything's going to be through the center, okay? So good luck. And we will see you all tomorrow.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.